I am Tamisa Hunter. I am the author of But I'm Still Here, and I am also the TV host of Table Talk with Tamisa. You can catch me on all social media at Tamisa Hunter, or you can go to the website, which is TamisaHunter.com, and we will be streaming live on all digital platforms.
Tell
Yeah.
me, like, I've never had the opportunity to actually meet a life coach, and I'll probably need one. Tell tell me what does a life coach do exactly?
Was really being a great listener for one. That's number one. And then number two is I'm gonna speak on my behalf because different life coaches out there. But really it's like listening to their story, listen for those key points of things that kind of make them feel uncomfortable. Trying to connect with them mentally as well as emotionally in regards to their past. One thing I can say is that God has aligned me up with women that I'm relatable to them with their story based on my story. So I can immediately tell from the get-go how the coaching session is going to go. But it's really like just listening and then helping them see and pull out those key points of what they're discussing and refocus on it so that way they can learn steps to overcome what they're dealing with.
Okay. So what is the most common, or what are some of the common things that young ladies come to you, and what are they struggling with? Like, not necessarily detail, but like, are they struggling with marital issues? Are they stuff that happened to them when they were children, work issues? What are some of the common things that they're struggling with?
You said that some of the same things they struggle with. I add in confidence,
Mhm.
them not knowing who they are, them not understanding their worth, the abusive relationship, not understanding their power to be able to, leave that situation. Definitely affairs.
Mhm.
It's a lot. You'll be surprised. It's really a lot. And I don't really like to call myself like a life coach. I really
Mhm.
say storytelling coach because although they tell me their stories and their issues, I tell them my story and the steps that I took to heal myself and how I overcame it. And then we implement a plan for them to do the same.
Yeah.
So I don't, because it's all about life. I mean, it's everybody has something they're struggling with or have dealt with or going through, and everyone has skeletons in their closet, regardless if they want to admit it or not. So
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Well, you have to have some strong shoulders to listen to a lot of stuff that's going on in the world today. Where do you get that strength from?
God and
Hmm.
my mom, Connie Berry, I would say I got it from her. Because when I was little, I was like the black sheep of the family.
Hmm.
And so although I didn't know who I was and I didn't understand why people didn't love me, so I built up this wall and I was really pretty much in the streets per se. So the strength came from my mom because she's very strong. But I think too, when I surrendered to God, I stopped carrying it and then would give it over to Him. But you're right, I do have some strong shoulders, and people tell me all the time I am a strong woman. And sometimes I feel like I'm not, but really I am. And I don't even realize can't even tell you about stress because I don't think that I stress. And if I do, it might be something that my body might tell me, but I
Mm.
do listen to my body. But I've been in, I call it pure hell all my life in regards to always fighting, always surviving. And so I have to be strong if I'm going to make it to the next day, is what I thought when I was, growing up. But now I just pray about it, give it to God, ask for wisdom, ask for discernment, and I keep it going.
Yeah. Well, when did your transformation start? Because you said that you started building these walls. When did your transformation start? And so that way that enabled you to start not necessarily tearing them down, but letting them down.
Oh my goodness. It would start, then it'll stop. It'll start, it would stop because I'm a control freak.
Mm.
And if I felt like I wasn't in control, I I just let it, I pull it back again. But then when I saw things slipping away, I pull it back again. So I know, I'm gonna say like in maybe 2010, when I started trying to have my first for-profit business, that's when I started trying to turn it around. But over the years, I had a problem with struggling with letting it go and coming back. So I finally decided, probably about 3 years, 2018, I believe, is when I decided to say, hey, I'm done with this. I'm going to surrender. I'm giving everything over to you. Whatever you want me to do, I'm not going to worry about what I don't have. I'm not going to be the perfectionist. I'm not going to worry about not having the money or whatever the case may be. I just turned it over. And that's when the transformation started happening, because before that, I had 3 death encounters where I actually should have been dead a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
or up under the jail, or I should have been in jail doing fed time. But
Mm-hmm.
God kept me and he had his hand on me. And for that reason, I give him glory and honor and praise for that. But I didn't understand it then. I didn't understand what he was doing and what was going on with my life, and resulted in me trying to give it to him and come back, and then give it to him and come back. But when I surrendered, this is what you got now. Tamisa Hunter,
Miss
the
Hunter.
purpose of surrender. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I know that you travel a lot, so that means do you travel by plane as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that
Yes,
means you have time to think. Have you kind of like just thought about where you came from?
I did. Because can you imagine me being homeless,
Mm-hmm.
living in hotels? Every hotel in my hometown I lived in for a month or two. I've lived in dope houses. I lived with strangers that I didn't even know, as long as I was able to lay my head down. And when I look at that and to where I'm at now, you can't do nothing but praise and thank God for it. Because when people look at me now, they would never thought that I went through all of that. They would have never thought that, I almost tried to commit suicide, or, I got hit upside the head with a 2x4 and I should have been dead, and had 32 stitches, or almost getting ran over by the car, being stabbed. They would never thought that. Every mark that I have on my body came from me in that survival mode and fighting. And so when I think about the struggles that I had then, I used to resent it, which is why I didn't want to tell my story, because I didn't want people to judge me, because people would judge in a minute. But then I realized that the more I tell my story, the more that I was getting healed. And so instead of me putting band-aids on those scars, I was healing those scars, which allowed me to continue to be strong, which allowed me to continue to go forward, which allowed me to be who I am today.
Absolutely. And hence the book comes about and it's entitled But I'm Still Here.
But
Right?
I'm still here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so when did you decide to commit to that project, writing it and releasing a book?
Whew, I started in 2012, believe it or not. I started writing it, then I stopped. That was when I was in that phase of stopping and going. And then I came back a couple years, I would write a few pages and I stopped. And everyone was like, you need to write a book. You need to tell a story, because that's when I started going out speaking at women conferences and what have you, at churches. And I was like, I don't got time for all that. And I was like, no, whatever. But when I finally sat down, it was about 2 years ago, because I thought that I needed a ghostwriter, because I didn't know what the being an author was. And when I did send it over to a ghostwriter, she was like, you don't need a ghostwriter. You just need somebody to edit this. She said, your story and what you have to tell is so powerful. You don't need anything. So then I stopped because I didn't know where to go then. And then everyone was telling me to self-publish. And I'm like, nope, I feel like this is more than self-publishing, which is why I have Christian book publishing a book. So anyway, somewhere I was in a conversation with someone. They heard my story. And I went to a church to speak. And next thing I know, they were prophesying over me, praying over me and everything. And she was like, it's time for you to bring your book forth. And somehow, some way, she gave me her sister's number. And her sister is a book coach.
Mm.
So Gina, I have to give her recognition as well, because Gina dug so deep down in my soul,
Mm-hmm.
had stuff that I had suppressed over the years that I didn't want to talk about. She brought it out.
Okay.
And it took us about 2 years for the book to get finished. It's not all of it, because within the content that I had, she told me that I have about 5 books just within the 2 years we were together. So
Really?
this is just the beginning.
Hmm.
Right. So I got little bits and pieces of, different things of my story in this one, just kind of let them know, setting that foundation. But if God give me the will to go forward, that second book, now that's going to be something a whole lot of different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now that you've had the opportunity to, I guess, kind of review what you've written in your first book, are you satisfied with the way that it turned out?
Actually, I am, because honestly, I sent it to one publishing company and they wanted me to completely change my story. And I
Hmm.
said, no, you're not the publishing company for me. Because if I have to go in being not being authentic, for me to see that people see the true person that I am and how you can be overcome, you're not for me. And somehow, some way, I don't even know how I actually lined up with the publishing company that I am now. But when I look back over it, I'm like, I'm so pleased with what happened, what was produced, and what's published, because I'm like, wow. And I want to do more, but the Holy Spirit won't let me do more, because
Hmm.
it's like you have so much more in you to give. Let's take
Hmm.
it like in layers. So I'm
Yeah.
happy. I'm well pleased with it.
Okay. What is that process like when you're sitting down for someone who's never written a book? What is that process like when you finally find the publisher you want? Like, what kind of conversations do you have with your publisher prior to releasing your book?
It's a lot of questions. I mean, I asked a lot of questions. I did a lot of research. I researched their site and what they did and who they published before. I let them know my deep, truest feelings of where I wanted the book to be and how I wanted the book to be conveyed. I pretty much had full control over everything. We're going into the book cover down to everything. But they listened to me, and I gave them my ideal. And then every step of the way, they would give me updates and things, and I'll go in and change it or whatever the case may be. So for someone that wants to go that route, and not do the self-publishing route, I would say find someone, a company that you trust, that will allow you to work at your own pace. Because not one time did this publishing company rush me to get the book done.
Mm.
They made sure that I was comfortable. They made sure that I double checked everything that I did submit and whatever they had came in and correct. And I felt very comfortable about it. This is why I know this is the right time for it to come out. Because before, it was all type of roadblocks and everything else you can think of. But this process been running so smoothly.
Yeah. Now, is your contract, are you contractually obligated to each other just for a certain period of time, or is it ongoing?
Just a certain period of time, actually, until the investment is refunded back to me. Other than that, I'm on my own.
Okay. All right. And so what shelves, where can people find it?
Oh, everywhere. All the online bookstores, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, of course, Kindle, Ingram, every in, from my understanding, it's going to be all over the place in all of the like half price books, and all those little small booking companies. They'll be able to purchase the book.
Okay. Now, do you, as you go through your chapters, do you see how you developed as a writer, and do you see how you started to like unfold and unwind through those chapters?
I did. I actually learned from my own self, just
Okay.
from what I have written. I've learned and saw how much I had grown. And then I was able to self teach myself of different things throughout the grammar and what have you. Because I'm like, just let me just talk and you type thing. But going through this process and reading it and rereading it and adjusted, I've taught myself and I've learned from not only the publishing company, but also Gina as well, in regards what to look for or what I would like. So that's why I said the second book is going to be, whew, I can
Yeah.
just only imagine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I need to
Absolutely.
get past the first book first.
But you got to think big. You know what I mean? You got to think
Yeah,
big. The bigger, the better.
yeah.
So what is your goal for the book? Like, not as far as sales, but you wanted to like help people who were in the position that you were in, or like, I guess really the question is more along like, who do you think your target audience is?
Women that's hurt, women
Mm.
that's in a place. I want them to see that they can overcome. Not everyone has the same story as I have. The domestic violence, abuser, survivor, as well as being, the things I went through with the depression and the suicidal and the sexual abuse or what have you. But they can see what I've went through and see that I'm still here and I'm still thriving and that I overcame everything that I went through during that time of my life. And
Yeah.
I want women to feel comfortable with themselves in regards to coming forward to speak their truth, to own their truth, and to walk in the truth. Because as long as you live in a lie or you live in a double agent, which I talk about that in the book, you're never going to be your true self. And you're always going to have that cloud over your head of walking on eggshells around certain people because you don't know who you are within what God put you on this earth to be. So I want people to understand everyone is here for a purpose. You have a purpose. You have a destiny, and you have to own your own truth in order to walk in your purpose, which is letting go of the past, walking in your truth, and then overcoming what has happened because your past does not define you.
Yeah. What kind of feedback have you gotten? I'm sure like people are just on their knees crying, thanking you for just sharing that.
Nothing about the book yet because no one has read it. But just like when I go do my speaking engagements or
Mhm.
interviews, anything like that, it's one time like when I did a domestic violence show, the producer called me and told me that one of the ladies, somebody called them and was like, my testimony helped them. And they gave them the number to the local domestic violence office there for help. That alone, this that can just touch and help one person, I'm happy. That's what God has put me here to do, and that's what I'm fulfilled in doing. Is just that one person. So the feedback that I get is always good. I haven't had anything negative, and if I had, it hadn't been presented to me. Plus, I always block all the negativity out anyway.
You have to.
But yeah, you have to, because if not, it's so many naysayers and stuff. They don't know unless they walked in your shoes or walked in the gutter with you. They don't understand what you've been through. So I don't even let that bother me. But I haven't heard anything. But so far, I'm hearing good feedback. What you thinking? You read up on me, I'm quite sure.
Oh, I have. Your release is going to be in October. I think
Yeah.
I think you have an amazing story, and I'm interesting. Actually, I'm more interested in the table talk that you're going to get ready to do. I saw that you're going to release that.
You saw
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also too, what is the speaking circuit like? Like, are you nervous when you're getting? You're probably seasoned now, but when you first started, were you nervous getting on stage?
Nervous even now, even though I
Mm,
am seasoned. Because if I feel like if my goal is not for people to see Tamisa, my goal is for you to see God in me in his light. Because if it's about Tamisa, you won't get what you need to get to be delivered or to get to start putting those steps in motion to start working on being redeemed from your past. So my goal is, I'm always nervous. I was nervous for talking to you. And I was like, Lord, please give me the words to say. I was like, okay, and I know I'm traveling and I'm like, okay, it's okay by how I look. I don't even care anymore because I am a perfectionist.
hmm.
But I I'm nervous all the time. Everywhere I go, I get nervous. But then when I get up on stage and or wherever, it's like something changes and it's like boom, I'm like this different person because I'm walking boldly, I'm confident, and I know who I am. So the message come across like it should to be able to help other people. And some I don't even remember what I talk about. I can make a whole list, have a whole plan, an outline of what I'm talking about, and every single time, I kid you not, I go completely off that plan. That's why I notice the Holy Spirit just work because it ain't me.
I
That's
was gonna,
all God.
yeah, I was gonna ask you that as well. Like, if you go up with a sheet or bullet points that you're going to cover, and in some kind of way detour to something else.
I detour all the time. The first time I did that, I spoke at a women's conference and I tried to be political correct, you should say, and try to do the same old thing.
Mhm.
Baby, by the time I got through I had cotton mouth. I kept trying to get water. And it was like the Holy Spirit would not let me talk. I kicked off my shoes. I threw that script down. And next thing I know, everything just flowed.
Yeah.
And that's how I was like, that's how I know that I don't want it to ever feel that way again. And then one time, it's only happened twice in my life. The second time was when my pastor had me get up to teach a service. I was nervous. I done sit here and studied for like 3 weeks and had all these notes and everything. And I was up there teaching the word. And as I was teaching, I kept throwing the paper on the floor
Mm-hmm.
because I was trying to go by the notes, but I didn't feel comfortable. I was like sweating and everything. And then we had the next meeting. We had the next week, we had a meeting. And he was like, well, how did you do? And I said, well, I told him, my bullet points of what I think I need to work on. And my husband was like, Pastor, I don't even know why she had those notes because since I've been with her, she has never used notes. And he said, that's what I need you to do. Just be your authentic self and go with the way that the Holy Spirit leads you. So I don't use notes. I pray about it and I think about it and I ask the Holy Spirit to give me the right words to say because my goal is to be able to bless someone in some form or fashion, whether if it's a woman or a man, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. I give you a little secret that when I first started doing this, probably about 130 people ago, I used to I remember the first 4 or 5 people. I had like notes and I was reading them on the computer and not even paying attention to the person. And so over time, though, I got kind of accustomed to, I don't want to say ad-libbing, but make sure that I understand the person and read and I'm familiar and I'm also authentic. I've never had a problem.
That's what I'm saying. See, that's it. But when you try old script, it
Mm-hmm.
just messes up everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because that's who people, when they want to see you, they want to see that you're human and that you're not fake because there's a lot of people out there that's not real.
that's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Other than Gina, who are your other, who name some other people that inspired you and your mentors?
My passion, First Lady, Pastor Charles Colbert, First Lady Savor Colbert out of DeSoto, Texas. They inspired me. He actually pushed me. Him and Gina was the two people that pushed me the most. And at first, I did not like them. I did not, I'm being honest. I was like, I don't want to talk to you. What is it? I see their name, like, what do you want now?
Mm-hmm.
Type. But I'm glad that they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And for that reason, I'm grateful for that. I haven't really had a lot of mentors in my life.
Yeah,
Because I had more people judging me than anything. So I kind of kept to myself. But
yeah.
when I do get someone like Gina and Pastor Colbert, I stick with them.
Mm.
So and my husband. I thank God for him. We've been together 26 years, and he's someone has always been by my side and pushed me even when I don't want to be pushed.
Yeah,
He'll never.
I think y'all recently celebrated 26 years, right?
Yes, we're actually been no, yeah, no. This
25.
November will be 27. We just celebrated.
Ooh.
We had together 27, and the twins are 23. We've been married 24, been together 27.
Yeah, right. I think I saw that on Instagram that you're
Oh,
celebrating your 24.
you
Yeah,
really
but
was
yeah,
investigating.
yeah, I have to. I have to. I don't want to call you Miss Johnson and you're really Miss Hunter, right?
Right,
I can't do that. Oh my.
right.
So tell me about this table talk that you're getting ready to start.
Oh man. Table Talk came in 2018 as well. That's when I told you I turned around. And I did the logo and stuff, but because I'm a perfectionist, I didn't go nowhere with it. I didn't want to
Mm.
deal with it. I don't want to deal with women because I feel like they miss it. I was like, that's too much baggage. I said, I got too much stuff going on. I said, God, I do not want to do it. So I just stopped at the logo, created a social media page and everything, right? So over the years, I've been, speaking and what have you, and I went to be interviewed on another person's show. So that they were so impressed with my story and me and everything. Someone contacted the CEO of the network and gave them my number. And on my way back to Dallas, she called me. So
Oh,
we was on the phone for 2 hours. Um, and she was trying to get me to come on the network. And I said, well, let me pray about it. I think about it. And I said, well, I did start Table Talk with Tamisa back in 18. I said, this will be a good platform or what have you, because it's on all the streaming platforms.
mm-hmm.
So I waited about 2 weeks and then I called her back and I said, yes. So I've been in preparation of getting everything together, but Table Talk is Tamisa is going to be a platform. I don't want it like a regular talk show. I want it to be a place of healing, a place of deliverance, a place where women can feel comfortable enough to surrender. And the environment is going to be to where I'm going to give them that space for them to do that because I can't reach the masses. And if all of us come together and women are share their stories, then someone else can reach someone else that I couldn't reach. And guess what? You found someone that was able to come back to the kingdom and was able to get to overcome whatever they're going through. So it's going to be some deep topics that people do not want to talk about. You know, the relationships about what the father did to the mother or the siblings did to each other, and just those relationships that you never really hear about on media now. It's going to be those type of topics, and I'm very selective of who I will be having on the show, because I want someone to come that's going to be real, true, and authentic, and not afraid to tell their story.
Absolutely. So, in your experience talking to young ladies, is it easy to tell when someone is ready to let down their walls or let down their guard, as opposed to someone who's they're just not ready yet?
I can tell. I think that's just a discernment that's within me. And then, some people can't tell, which is why they will push them. And if you push them too hard, they'll shut back down again. But just talking to them, I can kind of tell. And that's one of my gifts that I feel like God has given me, is for me to be able to usher in the the spirit of calmness and the spirit of them knowing that they can be free. Because I don't meet a stranger when it comes down to that. And next thing you know, I done heard the whole life story, the whole family line, everything, and we just the best of friends by the time we get through talking. Even if it's just a casual conversation, me at the airport. Don't let me be on the airplane. That's a whole nother
I bet you
story.
it is. I bet you it is. I bet you it is.
I should have called a table talk with or not airplane talk with Tamisa. That's
Yeah.
what I should have did. Because for
Yeah.
some reason, I mean, all walks of life is like they're drawn to me. And next thing I know, we're talking about life and past and things. So it's crazy.
Yeah. But when you're helping these people, I don't know, when you're helping personal clients heal, is it a lot of hand holding, or is it tough love, or is it a combination of the two?
Combination of the two. It's for me, I tell them I'm not a yes person.
Mm.
I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing just to make you feel good, because you have to have that. Because in order for you to overcome it, I'm not going to sit here and I know you over suffering with this, and you want me to sit here and sugarcoat it to make you stay in it. No, I'm not going to do that. So I tell them up front, you're going to either hate me at the end or you're going to love me. Most likely you're going to love me. It's going to be a love-hate relationship. But when you cater to something that's hindering a person, it makes it worse. And then the layers grow, and before you know it, it's so deep that some of the people you can't bring back, and they have to go talk to like a specialist or something or whatever, that's way deeper than what I can give them. But yeah, you're not gonna get that with me. I'll be looking at you like you crazy, and I'll be like,
Well, I'm gonna
I'm
be
gonna
out.
tell you, I'm gonna tell you that, because I'm gonna tell you, my friends and family, they don't like when I get in that mode. They call me the boss. They
In
like,
charge,
when
yeah.
you go in that mode, we don't
Yeah.
want to talk to you. So they kind of stay away from me when I get in that mode.
What the challenge for me would be, and I don't want to seem mean when I say this, but for the folk who would backslide, like that would irritate me and it upset me so much that I probably would quit on them. So Peter would not be a good he would not be a great life coach at all. How
I
do
need to
you,
pray for you, Peter.
yeah, please. So I don't,
Oh my goodness.
how do you how do you carry on? Like that would just irritate me.
Well, it doesn't irritate me because I was once that person where I
Mm-hmm.
backslid a lot. So we all fall short each and every day. We're all not perfect. So each day I get up, I say, Lord, I might not got it right yesterday, but I'm gonna try to get it right today. And even with my clients, I tell them, I don't even call them clients, I call them cousins. But even with my cousin, I say, don't go hard on yourself, because that's just like with credit report. You got bad credit, but it took you time to get into the bad credit, right? And it's going to take you time to get out. It's the same way with this. It's going to take you to get to unlearn those unhealthy habits and to not go back to what you're comfortable to. Because when you go back to what you're comfortable to, that will take you back down the road. And you don't want to do that. I did that a long time. That was why I called myself a double agent, because I didn't want to leave I was still allowing the world to define me. So when something happened, I would go back to what I was used to. I would backslide and I would stay there until I be like, oh, this is not where I want to be. So you have to make that conscious decision. Okay, do I want to continue to go down this road? It's not getting me anywhere. Or do I want to go forward to see what can help me? So I have to pray for you, Peter, but I
Yes,
don't
please.
I
Yes,
don't let
please.
them go because I've been there. I know how it feels. I know how it feels to be in that hole and for years and don't know how to get out of it. I was in that cycle for a long time and I just had to get out of it. So
Yeah.
we're human. We make mistakes, we go
Oh,
backwards.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Give
believe you.
yourself and then keep it moving.
Well, speaking of forgiving yourself, since you are doing a lot of things every day, which I admire, how do you find time to take a break? What do you do to recharge?
Oh man, let's see. When I see my grandbaby, that recharges me. But normally I would take a couple of days off, no phone, no computer or anything. And I just spend time with God or I read a book or something, or our plan will go somewhere because I love water. You can
Mhm.
take me to a lake, I'll be there all day. Just things like that. That's what recharges me. Because I pour out so much, you have to have something to fill you back up. And then I reach out to my prayer sisters and say, I need prayer, to fill me up because, you need that support system as well. So I have a very good support system in that manner. But me, my grandbaby, reading a book, or I call it a Netflix week because I
Yeah.
sit there, yeah, Netflix or what have you, something like that, just to recharge my mind. And I try not to think about things, but it's hard because if I know that a client is going through something and they need me, the ones that need my hand for me to hold their hand, I might reach out to them and just seeing them doing a good job, that also helps me recharge because everything I'm doing is not in vain.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It slipped my mind, but I wanted to ask you, other than the obvious, the title of your book, is there a something that I'm missing other than obvious, but I'm still here? The reason why you chose that title?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Um, at first, it was going to be a different title, and Gina made me see the point because she was like, "We can't give the devil any credit or praise," and I said, "You're right." So I think, but I feel as though in my heart that, but I'm still here, um, will pique your interest on, or what she's still here from, what happened, type thing is what my hopes are in regards to want them to get them to read up on me and my story.
Okay.
What
It's
you think?
well, I other than being on the surface, like I get the meaning, I get the point, right? Like you've been through a lot and you're still here, but I haven't quite put my finger on it. I give me a little time, and I think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna come up with something else or something a little bit deeper than that.
I can't tell you right
Oh, but also too, it might also kind of be, and I'm not going anywhere. Like although that doesn't extend to the title, but I also think a part of that also means that.
now. You might have to read the book to find out.
Well, it sounded like Gina helped you a lot. Did she? What? And I know you said in the beginning it was kind of tough. Did she put you on a regimen? Like, did she say, "Hey, look, you need to write every day," or what was her like? What was her strategy with you?
Well, I already had a lot written. But what she did do was tell me if I think of something else, like if she'll ask me a question about my past and I didn't want to talk about it or what have you, she'll tell me to write it down or write what I felt during that time frame. Or if we'll be talking and having a Zoom or something, and we talk and I say something, and she said, "That's good." She said, "That's what you need. That's it right there." And I'm like, "No, that's between me and you. That ain't between me and you and the world." She's like, "No,
Mm,
they need to hear that." So it's really more of, you know, she's taken what I've already written and she pulled the questions from that to make me go deeper than what I really want to go deep in. Does
okay,
that make sense?
it makes 100% sense.
That was my regimen. That's why I come out and like her.
But you love her now. So everybody wins in that. Everybody wins in that. Absolutely. I'm gonna get you out of here on one or two more questions. First question would be, is there anything you would like to, in your journey, your writing journey, your creative journey, table talk, all of those things? Is there anything that if you could go back and change it, is there anything you would change?
I would say I would have came out sooner, for one. That's number one. Number two, I would not change anything else besides that, only because if I had not did what I did or went the way that I went and walked the way I walked, I wouldn't be here today as this person, as strong and confident and bold as I am.
And although you and Gina didn't get along in the beginning, or you got along and it was a tedious process, was there a process ultimately, now that you look back at it, wasn't it fun?
It was. It was. Although I was like, God, dog. But yeah, it was. It was definitely fun. And I really enjoyed it. I would do it again. And that's why I said I wish I would have done it sooner. But if I would have done it sooner, I would have met Gina. And then I wouldn't have the relationship that I have with her. And I wouldn't be as grounded as I am either in the Word of God. Because back then it was just me surfacing it. But now I'm deep in it.
Absolutely. And words of encouragement for someone who's thinking about writing a book.
Do it. Do not. Number one, do it. Number two, do not let other people convince you not to do what's laid in your heart to do. Can't no one tell your story but you. So go for it, be great, and go out there and be the great writer that's within you, because all of us have a story.